consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded to that, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the ZBA is convening via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. The phone number for call-ins is 929-205-6099. That may be different than what is posted, so please note that if you wish to call in. Once again, 929-205-6099. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquially with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after the members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call each by name and afford a few minutes for any comments. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. All right. So first up tonight, we have the petition of Lynn Olson. So I would entertain a motion. Oh, actually, let's check in first and make sure who's here. Rich Haskins. Ann Petrelli. Kyle Bergson. Christopher Mateer.
Here.
And Jim, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm as Brian Allen. I'm borrowing a computer.
All right. So I entertain a motion to reopen the hearing of Lynn Olson.
I'll make a motion to reopen the hearing.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All those in favor? Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Yep.
Chris?
Aye.
All right. Lynn, you're here also?
Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, as you can probably see on your screen, one of the things we had requested at last meeting was some more specific measurements, I believe. And those have been provided to us. Lynn, do you have anything else that you would like to add this evening?
No, I provided what you asked for, so I'm good.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
All right, any questions from the board? Rich?
Question I have is on the, looks like the northeast side of the deck. There's no dimension from the lot line to the proposed deck where it says 10 feet. Can you see there, right there? There's no dimension right there. Looks like it's probably 12-ish.
It's 8.9.
Anybody know what that is? Just for the record.
Yeah.
8.9 is,
To the house.
to the house.
Right.
And then I'm her friend Lee Carmen, just helping a little bit. So if the house is, there's 3 feet on each side, right?
Yes.
So it's about 12 feet, yes,
Just over 12.
just over 12.
Okay.
All right, Dan, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Kyle?
I'm all set.
Jim?
Nope.
Chris?
I'm all set. This is a lot better than what was presented last time, so thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak for this? Chris, we have anybody?
Nope, that looks good.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. This is for the Sutton Road, right?
Excuse me?
Or 39 West Sutton.
39, okay, wrong one.
Okay, thank you. All right, no other questions from the board? All right, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing then.
I can make a motion to close the hearing on 39 West Sutton Road.
All second.
All right, all those in favor? Rich,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Myself, aye. All right, the ayes have it. We'll do a work session this evening. And you're welcome to stay on and watch, or you can check in with Lynn and she will let you know the results.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. All right, next up is 175 Putnam Hill Road. Robert Cook. Robert, are you here this evening?
Actually, Chairman, it's Lynn. I have Mr. Cook on the phone.
Okay,
He does not have a speaker on his computer, so I don't know if you want to work through me or how you want to do it.
it's fine with me. That's seems to be the
Okay.
easiest thing right now.
I guess we have to work with what we have to work with.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to reopen the Robert P. Cook hearing.
I'll make a motion to open that hearing.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Rich,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Chris?
Mute that.
Aye. Again.
Aye. All right, so after our last meeting, we did a site visit and
It's just got the name, that's it.
It's not even on the TV.
checked it out, so.
Did you mute it?
Lynn, does the petitioner have anything new to add?
He does not.
All right. How about questions from the board Rich?
I don't have any additional questions, no. One question for Lynn, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Can the applicant hear us and we just can't hear him? Okay,
He can.
okay.
He just cannot speak.
Okay. Dan, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time.
All right. Kyle?
No questions.
All right. Jim?
No questions.
Chris?
No questions.
All right. Is there anyone, do we have anyone on the line or who would like to speak for or against this petition?
Mr. Chairman, I think we do have a letter from the abutters for, this is 39 West Sutton. No, I'm sorry, this is 21.5 West Sutton, correct?
No, this is, actually, this is for 175 Putnam Hill Road.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
That'll be next.
So entertain a motion then to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second on that.
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor? Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rick? Aye. All right. We'll do a work session and we'll let you know. Well, you can look, keep watching, or Lynn will let you know tomorrow. Doing all right time-wise. So our next hearing is for 21.5 West Sutton Road, Stage 1 investors. Do we have someone here representing them this evening? Nobody here from Stage 1?
Someone is joining on a phone, so
Okay.
there we go.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Am I meeting?
Yes, you are.
Oh, that's
Well-
good. I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to use my computer. It kept asking me for a password. I didn't know what it was.
All right.
I do have the link. I have the link in my computer. Have they started the meeting?
Yes, we're in the middle of it now. We're just ready to start the hearing on Stage 1 investors, 21.5 West Sutton Road. Are you part of that or?
That's me. That's
All
me.
right.
Yes, I'm representing that investors.
All right. If you could state your name just for the record, please.
Robert Murphy.
All right, Robert, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. What, turn it this way?
We did a site visit after our last meeting.
Oh.
And,
Okay, yes.
I don't know if you have anything new to add.
Not really. We had discussed the location of the building and how we had brought it up closer to the street. And yeah, I guess it was, we were waiting to have the site meeting.
All right. Questions from the board. Rich?
Not yet. I think I don't have any specific questions yet. I'm going through everything. I'm sure that as we discuss this, I'll think of something.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, I don't have any specific questions yet. Doing the site visit allowed me to really visualize the property and the proposed structure on it, so I have a much clearer image now in mind of it. But no specific questions. I think I have all the information I need.
Okay. Kyle?
Nothing at this time.
All right. Jim?
Yeah, I would just like to confirm that the house as it stands right now does not have a flush toilet or septic, right? You had said that they drew water from the lake and that a composting toilet is what's used is what's currently in use.
The existing house has, yes, a composting toilet, and it has no well, and the water is no longer, coming out of the lake. The new house will have a new well up near the street and a new septic system. They've all been approved by the Board of Health.
Okay. Chris, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. I have a question, Robert. Looking at some of the grading, it seems to me that the house is going to be quite a bit higher than the houses on either side. And I know that you had talked about filling it in 4 feet. Is that something that you could take a look at? The height of the structure on its own is very similar to the neighboring houses, but I think the way that you guys are trying to position it, it will seem larger than the others.
Well, it's going to have a full cellar for the house and a walkout from the house, and then it has a first and a second floor, just pretty much like everything that's there. It's not intended to be higher than the houses on either side. It's just that it's probably, it would appear slightly higher than the house on the right because it's closer to the street. But it's basically a 2-story house, wood frame house with a full cellar, a walkout. I believe it's it's going to be a walkout basement. So from the street, you actually, you park in the front and you step down a walkway. So the sill of the house is going to be about 10 feet lower than the street. So what you'd be looking, if you were standing on the street, you're pretty much going to be looking at the second story. It's because the lot does drop down considerably, and it's been stepped down, so it's not up at the it's not up at the elevation of the road. It's similar.
He's right there. Yeah.
It steps down. It's similar to the house on the right where they have the driveway, drops down, follows the slope. But it's not a very big house. It's 22 feet by 28 feet. It's not a very big house.
The board have any other questions? Rick?
Yes, please. When we visited the location and compared it to the house on the right, it looked like the house was actually going to be set much higher, and I think the house to the right is only 2 stories, And this proposed plan is going to be 2 stories above the full basement.
I agree.
So
Well, it's a
in looking at the house
it's a
from the street, I'm sorry.
two-story house. Yeah.
And looking at it from the street, it appears that it is going to be much taller in structure than the houses on either side. And I think it's the fact that it's two full stories above a finished basement versus above grade. You know, above a slab, or one story above the basement, rather.
Well, if you're looking at the house from the street, you're going to, the first floor is, ground elevation. It's going to be 8 to 10 feet below the street, and that, and then you have the second floor. The lot slopes down considerably down toward the septic system, where you'll have a walkout from that side. I'm looking at the floor plans right now. You have a walkout basement, but that's halfway, that's quite a ways down the slope.
I had another plan somewhere. I can't seem to find it that had elevations on it.
I don't believe the house.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have the elevations, but they don't have dimensions on
I
it.
can show you a picture of these.
Sorry, I guess he can't hear me.
I heard you, Rich.
Mr. Chairman, I have the plan, the drawings with the elevations on it, but they don't show height dimensions. So it's hard to gauge other than just guessing from the site visit and where we estimated the sill to be. Or I guess we didn't have to estimate, it says it right on there, 583. And we compared that to the homes on either side, and it it looks like you're going to have one story, then a second story, then the full roof on top of it. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of height compared to the houses on either side.
Well, the second story has a sloped roof above it, but it's not all that much. You're probably talking 6 feet above the ceiling of the second floor. It's a sloped roof, but it's not that large. It's a standard roof over a second story. Very similar to the house on the left.
That's odd.
I think with the walkout and the way it's located, I think it's going to appear probably taller than it is.
Well, from the water, you're going to have, yes, you're going to have a walkout, and then the 2 stories. So it would appear taller from the water, but not from the street. From the street, it's stepped down. You had an elevation of the sill. You could relate that to the elevation of the street. The street is
See us.
I don't have that plan in front of me, but the street is
I don't think we
quite a
have
bit higher than the
elevations.
sill.
We don't have the elevation of the house, though, that I recall.
Yeah, we submitted the elevation. We submitted the elevations of the house.
I found it.
If you look at my picture, you'll see this is what it looks like. This is the picture this is the elevation that was submitted. 2-story.
So if I may, just note that there are no measurements, no height dimensions on the elevations. And I have to estimate, but first floor and second floor from the exterior would probably be about 9 feet. And then again, estimating the roof is going to be another 6. That's 24 feet above the sill. Is that about right?
I can tell you that the house meets all the zoning requirements as far as height. There is a height elevation on one of the views, the front view of the elevation of the house. It says front elevation. It has it shows the height up to the fascia of the ceiling. It's basically, you're basically talking 9 feet, which would be 18, and then about another 6, about 24 feet from the sill.
That's exactly my estimate. Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah, and the sill itself is about 8 feet below the street. So you'd be talking, if you were standing at the street, 24, minus 8 would be 16. It would be 16 feet higher than the road, which is basically 2 stories.
I think when we were on site, we had a copy of the septic plan.
Yeah,
had real elevations.
Right. The septic plan has all the elevations and the sill on it. And I believe a copy of that was submitted with the application.
That's what I can't find.
So the height, falls well within the allowable height. I'm trying to think. The plan shows the maximum height to be 35 feet, and the maximum height from the walk-in, the lower side of the walk-in was 30 feet. So it meets all the zoning requirements.
I understand that, Robert. I think what I'm trying to get at is, like, you've got a retaining wall. It's going to be close to 4 feet high at its highest point when you get up near the road.
Right.
And that, while your structure is within the zoning requirements, I think where you're starting is 4 feet higher than that house to the right, which is going to make your structure look taller in comparison to them because you're starting 4 feet higher.
Yeah, the retaining wall was brought in to meet the frost requirements of the the building code, and also the that side where the 4 feet is on that side of the house. That property was cut by the abutter. They cut into this property approximately 6 feet depth in order to get their driveway in. And so we had to build a retaining wall basically to build back up what they had cut. If you look at the wall, if you look at the retaining wall on the front, the abutter's retaining wall is on this property. We basically had to build a wall to build up what they had cut on the property.
Are there any more comments from the board? Rich?
Yeah, again, on the elevation, Mr. Chairman, so I'm looking where that house begins. It looks like the grade is at 580. And I think we looked at the house to the right, and that house is set closer to the water. So I believe the front, the base of that house, the sill, the top of the basement, the bottom of the first floor is at about 470. So there's a 10-foot difference from the house next to it. And while it may meet the zoning requirements for height, we have to consider a lot of other factors than just the height of one single building.
Right. We originally tried to put the house down near the lake, down lower, similar to what the house on the right is. And we weren't able to do that because of the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health requirements for the Title V septic system. So we ended up moving the house away from the wetlands and above the septic system. We originally, on the original plan that was submitted to the zoning board, we had the house down near the water. It was much lower, but that was not acceptable to the Conservation Commission. So we ended up moving the house up closer to the road. And, yeah, it's definitely further from the water than the house on the right. And that would make, it's going up a slope, so that would make it appear to be, taller. But if you look at the house on the left, it's going to be similar to the house on the left.
Okay. Dan, do you have any comments?
No comments at this time.
Kyle?
Nothing at this time.
Jim, any questions?
One clarification. When we were talking about the height of the building and the sill height, the sill height that we were measuring was off the front elevation of the building. If you look at the sill height from the rear elevation of the building, it's going to be another 9 feet. The walkout basement part of it. So just to, to be clear, when we reference sill height, there's two sill heights. There's the sill height at the walkout level, and then there's the sill height in the front, which sits on top of the basement.
Okay.
Yeah, the property slopes down from the front wall of the house to the back wall. The property slopes approximately 10 feet. So the whole reason of the walkout is to tuck the house into the slope, so that you don't have a lot of fill, in the back. So basically, if you look at that slope from the back, from the water side, when you walk around up to the front near the street, the existing grade is 10 feet higher. So we're definitely, we're building a walkout because that's how it works, with the slope. It fits into the hill very nicely.
When you talk about minimizing fill, though, you're adding approximately 4 foot of height in retaining walls. So there's going to be a lot of imported fill.
There's not really a lot of fill. Basically, what we're doing is we're bringing in fill for the septic system in order to meet Title V. That's true. That's the reason for the wall. The wall is basically, for the septic system. And then the wall on the right side of the house is in order to meet the frost requirements for the foundation. And as I mentioned before, we're bringing material in because that side of the property had been cut by the abutter.
So the frost requirements for the foundation, you could, if you put the foundation down into the dirt, you wouldn't need the retaining wall, right? That's there so that you can have the walkout basement.
Well, it's mainly just to have the septic system and have a gravity feed, system into the septic system, and then and just follow the grade up. But I suppose you could try to set the house even lower, but it's a fairly substantial drop to where the house is now.
I think if you took out that walkout, I think you'd be more at the grade of the house to the right.
Well, the walkout is basically the cellar of the house. It's a cellar, the cellar walls, you know, and all the utilities and everything go down in the cellar. It's a standard.
Because you're filling it in 4 feet,
It's,
you know,
it could be,
you drop the house 4 feet.
you could probably drop the house 4 feet and make it a steeper slope down to the house. That would probably have to pump up to the septic system. The two walls that you see on either side are required for the septic system all the way up to the house. And then, you know, making the house lower, you'd have a mound, I suppose, and then the house would pump up to it.
Well, you're going to have a mound anyway with the retaining walls that on either side of the lot line. So
Again, we originally went to the DEP with a tight tank, and the DEP told us, if you can put a septic system on the site, you have to. You can't just put in a tight tank. So we went back and did a perk test and put in the Presby system. And the DEP said, fine, you can put a septic system in. You basically, you have to. You can't put a tight tank in if there's any way possible to do a septic system. And so we went to great expense to design a septic system because the DEP would not accept a tight tank. So the walls on either side are basically meeting the DEP requirements. The wall near the house is also meeting the breakout of the septic system, and basically, you know, stepping the house down on the slope. It would have been much easier and less expensive to just put a tight tank in. But
are you saying there's no way to have a septic system if you were to drop the house? Is that what I thought you said you could pump it up.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the way it is now, you have a gravity feed system and you're following the existing slope of the property. If you look at, like, for instance, the left side, on the left side, there's no wall, and it kind of matches the ground next to the house there. That's following the slope. The right side, we're putting in the wall. I think the maximum height there was 4 feet. That's just because that side slopes down more. When they developed the house on that side, they cut the slope. We're basically building a wall to bring the slope up back to, you know, to what it was.
in that area.
Just in that area, right? If you look at
what are the heights of the retaining walls? Just to confirm one more time, the heights of the retaining walls that are on either side of the proposed septic system, they're approximately 4 feet?
Yeah, they start at 2, they go up to 3. The one on the left side goes, you know, it's about 3, I think, 3 to 4 feet. The one on the right side is 2, 3, 4 feet. It's not that high. And again, we're just doing the minimum amount of wall necessary in order to make the septic system work.
So, Rick, I'm not sure where you were going when you were saying drop in the house, and I think Chris also echoed that term. Does this house really need a 600 square foot basement? I mean, what if you either made a crawl space or made the first floor lower, and maybe that way you could reposition the house and it wouldn't be such a skyscraper on the road? Any thought to that?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's a skyscraper on the road. If you've got a 24-foot tall house, it's 8 foot down, it's 16 feet off above the road. That's not a skyscraper. That's 2 4x8 pieces of plywood.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. Does the house need a 600 square foot basement, and is it possible for you to, I guess, help me to like the project a little bit more if the top of the house was lower because it was only 2 stories instead of 3?
Yeah, I don't believe that we need a full walkout. So, but help me with this. What kind of a basement would I have? Would it be just like a 4-foot crawl space? And in other words, you'd have to have, a structural cellar for the building, a structural foundation.
Right.
And it could very well be a crawl space. It doesn't have to be I see where you're getting at. It doesn't have to be a full height walkout basement. It could be an acceptable foundation that was, say, I don't know, 5 feet high. The walkout, if you do a full walkout, it's basically with the floors, the joists, and everything. It's close to 8.5, almost 9 feet high. So I mean, if you made it, say, 5 feet, then it would be accessible as as a basement, and that would knock off, say, 4 feet of the.
Well, you would say the existing building has essentially a crawl space underneath, right?
Yes, it has. They put lawnmowers and garden stuff under there. It's probably close to 5 feet high. I mean, so you could match that. Your average, your normal cellar ends up being 8 feet high, full height. So they just make it as a walkout. But in this case here, to make the house work on the slope, they don't need a full walkout. They're going to have 2 stories in the house to live in. I just want to make sure that it's usable. I think 5 feet is acceptable because they'd probably be putting kayaks and lawnmowers and all that sort of stuff under there. That would be fine. It doesn't need to be a full height walkout basement. I agree with that.
I think you could do a full foundation. I think you just need to set it down. You could do a full 8-foot wall like you normally would, but you're just going to put it in the ground, 4 or 5 feet to lower the entire structure down.
Right. And then it wouldn't have slider doors. It would have windows and some sort of a, steps. It would actually step up from the cellar to get to the yard, 4 or 5 steps. That would be, yes, I agree. That would be good too, because you'd have full height to walk around, but it would basically, you'd sink it into the ground, say 3-4 feet. That could easily be done.
So I guess before we go that far down that road, Mr. Murphy, I wanted to revisit the 4 or 5 foot finished floor crawl space for storage and utilities, because I'm not sure that a 1-bedroom house needs a 600 square foot basement to be finished, and who knows what could be added in the future with that much space.
Well,
so I like the idea of a lower a crawl space better than a basement drop down below the grade by another 4 feet.
I agree. I like that idea as well, because when you step the cellar down with like a bulkhead type of thing, you're forcing the house further down into the groundwater. Stepping down is going to have its own issues. It's not going to drain well. So I think if you had a 5 foot walk-in walk area, crawl area, then you'd be level with the ground in the backyard. You wouldn't have a drainage problem. you could have the water, you know, for instance, if they flooded their basement, they could open the door and let the water out. You know, they wouldn't have a hole in the ground. Not that, I'm just using that as an analogy. But I have no problem with having an access underneath the building of 5 feet, just to, you know, put all your, whatever you put in there. I don't think they, there's enough room in this house that the heating system could be on the first floor. It wouldn't need to be in the crawl space.
I just wanted to bring up, I believe, is this the property that has a deed restriction that it has to be 1 bedroom too? Do I remember that right from 2 months ago? Yeah.
Yes, the existing house was 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
So we had to follow that. The reason we put a deed restriction is the Board of Health wanted to make sure that, you know, someone didn't go later on and add bedrooms. The septic system itself, Title V code requires a minimum of 2 bedrooms design. So the septic system it's a minimum of 400 square feet, which is 2 bedrooms. But the design of the house itself is limited to 1 bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just feeling concerned the first time I even saw the blueprint that there was plenty of room to add a bedroom after the whole process is done in the basement. And so that's another reason for me to feel more comfortable if that's a crawl space rather than a full-size floor. Already, like, the plans represent a pretty extensive expansion of how many square feet of living area there is. I think it's 570 originally. And then, like, the proposal is 616, but times 3 floors, which is 1848. So it'd be like I think I did some math here, 324% increase in square footage. So
Well,
again, like, yeah.
I did the numbers, and we had the proposed house was 616, the existing house 565, and you're right, they didn't show the I guess we didn't show the basement as part of it. So I have no problem with you know, having, say, a 5 foot, just something so you could get in there with, you know, your, like I say, kayaks and a lawnmower and something like that. I have no problem with that. They don't need a full height for this size house. You know, and that would drop the building roughly 4 feet down lower. So when we were talking about being 16 feet above the road, now we'd be 12 feet above the road. So you'd basically be looking into the 2nd floor when you were standing on the street.
I think it would look better with other houses too. It'd look more aligned. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and, you know, I have no problem with that at all. I mean, I'd like to see it look, you know, well with the other houses. I don't want it to stick out.
All right. So we would need to ask you to grant an extension if we were going to continue this hearing, because we would obviously like to see some sketches about what we've spoken about tonight.
Well, could I make a suggestion? That that we could approve it with a condition that, number one, the cellar be a maximum 5 feet, you know, headroom, and the if you look at the way the elevations are shown, it's shown as a 2-story building. That wouldn't change. It's just that you wouldn't have a walkout. If you look at the elevations, you don't see a walkout. It's just a 2-story building. And you could approve it as with that condition, and also that you know, the building has to be approved by the zoning officer prior to construction, but that the you know, we would be limited. In other words, I'm not going to give you anything at another meeting that we pretty much already haven't discussed, and that would be maximum height within the cellar is 5 feet. So you would not have you know, you wouldn't have a walkout. It would not be a walkout. It would have a small door so that you could get in there, and it would not be livable. It would not be a livable space at all. certainly not for, anybody over 5 feet tall.
I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on anything where I didn't have a finalized plan in hand. Just myself.
Well, the plan doesn't change. The plan that I have in front of you with the location of the building and the square footage, 616 square feet, 22 by 28, that doesn't change. The latest elevations that I gave you just showed a 2-story house, didn't have a walkout.
I myself, I
And it
feel
won't-
the same way, and I'd like to see, even if it's just a sketch, I'd like to see what the grading plan might look like with these changes, and probably a dimension from finished grade to what the roof peak would probably be. And then,
Well, we could show that. I mean, if that's what you need, we could show that on the, because all the grades are on the septic system plan. So the sill would drop. The sill would drop approximately 4 feet, and the walkout, the lower side where it would be a 5-foot walkout, that would not change, but the building would drop 4 feet. The height of the building would drop 4 feet from what it is now. And we could, if the board, if that's what the board wishes, then, I could provide you with that.
So yeah, I would want to vote on it when I have it in hand. I again agree with my colleagues. I don't feel comfortable voting on something that I'm not seeing.
This is also, yeah.
Just so we understand, I will provide you with a plan that essentially drops the height of the cellar to a maximum 5 feet inside, which lowers the house a minimum of 4 feet from the elevation from the street, so that the a lot of the elevations, the foundation will be shorter. It will still have the frost requirements for the foundation and all that. I can also take a look at the wall and see what we can do on that. But the building from the street would be a minimum of 4 feet shorter.
This is also a fairly complex proposal. I know we have a lot of abutters who have concerns too. I know we have a letter. There's some people present here. So I would want to hear everything too, as opposed to like just addressing the one issue about basement height. So I just want to make sure that's all discussed before we go on.
Yeah, just be aware that all of the lots up and down the street are 50 feet wide, and they go down to the water. This lot is not larger or smaller than all the lots going up and down the street. They're all 50 feet wide. So it's, we're not trying to put a house on something that, isn't different from the houses on, the left and the right. They're all 50-foot lots.
And I think with those adjustments, you'll be able to make it like those other houses, right?
yeah, I think we're trying to get more of the roof peak, the top of everyone's roof to kind of line up. The lot size, like you say, is similar, and even the house itself is similar to several in the area, but the way it's originally proposed here, I think it's too high. So I think if we can think it like that, it will kind of take care of that. I think we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah,
Mr. Murphy, if I may, one last request. You had mentioned something about the wall in your last statement, and I wonder, is it possible, or would you mind if it doesn't incur additional costs for you to speak with the engineer and see if there's a way to reduce the height of that wall by a foot or 18 inches to still meet the requirements, the frost requirements, but also to sort of reduce the dramatic difference in grade from one house to the neighbor?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if you look at the plan, you'll see a retaining wall on the neighbor's property that comes into our property. This wall is going to be the same height. It's going to be the same height as the wall they have now. That their wall is a cut where ours would end up being a fill. So yes, I'll take a look at the grading where we could also set up the building so that you don't have a full exposed wall on the 5-foot side, or what we'd call the short walk outside. So the plumbing would be lower as well, because you're not going to have a full open wall on that side. You could have a door on one side, and that would allow you to lower the building, because it's really the elevation of the plumbing that's affecting the height of the building. So if we don't have livable space under the building, then there's no plumbing there. And the plumbing would now be coming out the side wall a little bit higher. And that would allow you to lower the building and lower the wall. So yes, we could without any great expense. The retaining walls are designed by a private engineering firm, and yeah, we have to pay each time we do it. But to lower the wall just in the area of the house, what we call the south wall, we could probably lower that by, the blocks are roughly 18 inches high, so we could probably lower that by at least 1 block.
Okay.
Yeah, there's ways to reconfigure the plumbing and lower the building, and that would result in lowering the wall.
So that would make me feel a lot better about the project. I know, to echo Dan's comment, there are a lot of concerns that abutters have, and I see this board's job as trying to find balance and harmony between the project and the property owner or builder and the abutters and the other folks in the neighborhood. So I appreciate your flexibility in that. I think that's going to bring us a little bit closer than where we started. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the idea of a walkout, I mean, that's kind of a standard thing that we do. But, in order to lessen the impact of the elevation of the house, I have no problem with not having a full walkout. Just like you say, it doesn't need to be a living space. It could be just access to, store stuff under the house. I'm 6'2", so 5 foot, I can get in there. I walked in the building that's there now. You got to bend down. You got to bend over. But you could access it. You'll have your there'll be access to the plumbing and everything under the building. It'll be dry. But you just, you won't have it will never be a living space. That's for sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If we're going to be making revisions to plans, I think it's important that we give them, or at least I think it's important that I give them my full feedback. I probably struggle with the retaining walls in the backyard more than I do the height of the building. I think that, the existing house, we don't have a situation where there's a failed septic system or a non-Title V compliant septic system and actions need to be taken to remedy an existing issue. There is no septic system. So I don't know what other options are available, but I think that a change in grade from yard to yard, going up 4 feet and then back down on the other side. I'm sure that when it's drawn and engineered, it's going to work fine. But if it's not properly maintained, there's issues associated with that from my perspective, I don't know if the board shares my perspective, but I think that there's some work that needs to be done to address that.
I agree with that, Jim.
I'd like to see it cut at least in half.
I see this as a very challenging lot to develop in this way. And it seems like there's major contortions needed just to get it here. So I agree with Jim completely.
I do as well. It's definitely a challenging lot.
Well, lowering the house will definitely lower, lowering the house will definitely lower the wall in the area adjacent to the house. The walls adjacent to the septic system cannot be lowered. They're there, you have the groundwater height. The septic system can't be lowered. It's basically developed as low as it can be. Yeah.
It's going to be hard to convince me that's okay.
Yeah, it's a Title V.
I'm just saying, I'm just one vote, and maybe if you go back to the tight tank, and you know they're assuming that a tight tank isn't allowed because a Title V system is possible, but it's not possible without the approval of the zoning board, right? So
Changing the topography of the lot. Yeah.
so maybe if you go back to the DEP and say, well, it's kind of a chicken and the egg scenario. The ZBA is struggling with the height of the retaining walls that are required to make the system function. And I'm not speaking for the ZBA, I'm speaking for myself. I should correct that. What if we're not allowed to do this? Is the tight tank back in consider? Is it possible to revert to the tight tank discussion?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I think the DEP would want to see additional information from the ZBA as to why they would disapprove it, because it meets Title V and it's clearly they're trying to keep the pollution out of the Blackstone River, and this is the whole reason for not allowing tight tanks anymore. So it becomes an environmental issue for the DEP.
We've recently approved projects that are installing new tight tanks. So they're usually in like properties where we have the exact same scenarios that we're talking about now, where either it's difficult to fit one, or it creates topography issues, or there's an existing tight tank and they're replacing it. But we have been involved in projects in the last year that have involved the installation of new tight tanks. So the DEP, I don't know if something has transpired in the last year that's changed that, but we have recent precedent that it has been approved.
Well, a tight tank can be approved when there's no alternative. That's the whole idea. You have to prove that there's no alternative. In this case here, we ended up, finding good soil. We designed a system. With retaining walls, we were able to meet Title V. And, again, this was reviewed and approved by the Board of Health, and reviewed and approved by the DEP as well. So the owner has gone to fairly great expense to meet the DEP requirements.
Well, as far as documentation from the ZBA goes, if we went to a vote and we voted no, we have to fill out a decision worksheet that could give you the documentation that the plan as presented was not acceptable.
Well, again, that's up to you, but I know the DEP had asked, us to do an alternative analysis to show that, the septic system could not be developed. And as a result, we ended up with a septic system. We're just basically following their protocol.
This isn't the first lake property that has been before us and a lot of it has to do with property values. These are becoming very valuable properties, and people are looking to improve them and maximize them, as I would if I. As a board, we've been pretty consistent in the approach that we've taken to working with these pre-existing non-conforming lots, and essentially what's been approved has been something that's consistent in size and footprint to what's existing. And, with minimal grading impacts and minimal impact to neighbors. And in my mind, this doesn't fit into that box, both from a building size and height perspective and from the site work that's going to be required to accommodate the septic system.
What did you want President Zelensky to do about it?
Well, we can.
That's what, that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm just one vote, and I'm not, if what you're saying is that you want to submit it without make the height and see what happens changes, I don't know that that's going to be enough to, I don't know that that's going to be enough to convince me that it will.
Well, you're giving me a catch-22 here. You're asking me to redesign the site and have my client spend a fair amount of money to redesign it, and you're telling me that you don't feel comfortable with it at this point. So I could ask my client if he wants to spend the additional money to redesign the whole site, but I think he's going to want to feel comfortable spending that money if it's worthwhile.
I can't make that decision for him, but I think I have been, and I there again, I don't speak for the board, but I think that if you want my support, that's something.
Just so you're aware, if you look at the two properties on either side, they both have retaining walls.
One of them about 8 inches on the left side, right down by the water. They're minimal. They're not 4 feet. They run the full length of the side.
The one on the right is about 6 feet high.
The one on the which right?
The one on the right where it says wall. I mean, you can't. That wall is way over 4 feet high. I mean, I don't know who built it.
Run the full length of the property. You're going to have to do something similar to that in front of your house too, to put some. I don't need to belabor the point. I struggle with the grade changes in the elevation that's added by a result of the design septic in the past.
Well,
I don't know, and I haven't been on the board for a real long time. Did you come to the board previously with something before you went to the DEP and started all the engineering process, or did you do that?
We did it in tandem. We worked with the Board of Health, Conservation, and submitted to the, once we had an acceptable plan with Board of Health and Conservation, then we submitted to the ZBA. But we can take a look at lowering, we can't make the wall go away completely, but we'll do everything we can to lower the wall and lower the building, and make it more acceptable from the street, for the height, and plant roses along the outside of the wall, make it look nice.
All right, are there any more comments from the board? Rich?
I have none.
Dan?
I guess just a reminder, I think we're running into our clock on this one, so we need an extension approved by the applicant, or we need to decide tonight, right? Is that true?
That is correct, I believe.
Okay, just making sure.
Kyle, do you have any comments?
No comments at this time.
Jim, you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Chris?
I'm all set.
All right, Robert, so you agree to an extension while you do some redesign?
If the clock is running out, yes, I would request an extension so that we can make changes to the plan as we discussed, relative to the height of the wall, the height of the building. We will take out the full height walkout so that it's basically for storage. And the whole intention is to lower the building and lower the effect of the height relative to the street and the abutters' houses.
Okay.
Now, would you need something in writing? Should I submit something in writing to Lynn? Does she have a form, or is that something we could just agree to now?
The form that you received last time for the extension, you can just delete those dates and insert the dates that are agreed upon tonight.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, the next meeting is actually June 4th. If you think you can put something together during that time frame.
Yeah, I think we can. Let's see, May. Well, what would the deadline to get the information in be?
I would say the Friday before. That way that gives me time to share it with the board.
So basically the end of May.
Right. Oh, when's Memorial Day?
It's early this year.
Yeah, I don't think that's a concern, so.
So what we'll do is we will, I believe I have the extension in the file somewhere. If not, I'll
I can send you another
do
one if you.
another one. Send me an email. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have that. I think I submitted the one that I had. I gave it to you.
Okay, when I go into the office tomorrow, I can email you another one.
So we can prepare for the June 4th meeting.
Okay. At this time, I would ask if there's any abutters who would like to speak.
Okay, and I'll go through my file, but that'll be fine.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a letter that I can share from one of the abutters if you.
Okay, please.
Oops. Oh, okay.
Are you gonna read it?
It's over there if you want to read it.
Oh, yeah, I read part of it. I heard. But they're not gonna put it on the TV.
No.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
They can hear you?
I don't know.
We can hear you.
I just want to thank the board for taking the time, and hopefully we can resolve this problem, because it definitely is a problem and is a very much of a concern for the abutters. Very, very much a concern. And not everything has really been spoken about some of the things that are going on. And I think they need to be said. But I want to thank the board and Mr. Murphy for their time.
Could you just state your name for the record, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Ronnie Angstrand. I am the person that wrote this letter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's the abutter to the left.
I believe so.
You're to the left.
Yeah, it's not Patty.
All right. Do we have anyone else this evening? Chris, any call-ins or anything like that?
I'm here. Can I talk?
Yes, you may. Speaking
Yeah.
of.
All right. My name is Christine Newell Loico, spelled right there for you under my name.
Thank you.
I live at 22 West Sutton Road here in Sutton. So I live across the street from the property in question here. So the last time I spoke to you guys, I had a lot of questions about exactly what it was the zoning board was doing and how this all worked. So I've printed it out. So I've learned all kinds of good stuff. So, you know, and it was actually kind of nice to hear tonight, kind of people's reactions. But I just wanted to, note that, part of my understanding of what it says here in the zoning laws is that that the bylaws and the requirements are for the health, safety, it says morals, but I'm wondering if it's, I don't know if it's morals or not, and the general welfare of the town of Sutton. And, this property and what's being proposed, I'm not quite sure that the general welfare of the town of Sutton is actually being considered. My family has been a resident in Sutton for close to 100 years. The Ingstroms have been here, I think most of my husband's life, so we'll say close to 60 years, at least. So, and we're part of Sutton. We are founders in Sutton. and kind of not considering the welfare of us. This property has been going around and around and around in circles for a very long time. And it's right now, you know, it's not like there's a family over there trying to move in and trying to make something better. It's a contractor coming in trying to flip a house so that he can make as much money as he can. No offense, that's your job, that's cool, wish I could do it. But it's across the street from me. You know, I have concerns right now. I'm not sure if this board is aware, and I understand that it falls outside of your realm, but there's some stuff going on right now with some bald eagles over there. It's not clear if they're nesting, but they're definitely using it to hunt from, which under the bylaw definition of habitat, it fulfills that. So that is being investigated not only by the Conservation Committee, but we have raised that to state and federal authorities because I have a lot of concerns about the bald eagles. I'm a bird fan. You could tell if you came in my backyard. My husband says I'm old because I'm a bird watcher. The other thing here it says is any where is it? Sorry, I have lots of pages because it's a big 144-page document. I had to read the whole thing. So in terms of the zoning, I know that he mentioned that that little chart, which was on chart number 3, that the height requirements were met within that. However, every single other requirement in that chart has not been met. It is significantly off. And the fact that we're going from a, he has on here 565 square foot house. It's actually a little less than that on the tax papers, but to a living area of 1,232 square feet is far more than doubling the size of what the current property is. And according to the bylaws, which is page 8, because I can't figure out all the numbers and the way you guys have them numbered, but page 8, it says, any legally non-conforming principal use makes be extended in floor area and or lot area up to 30% of the existing area currently in pursuant to the special permit. So I'm not sure I'm reading that right, but I think it means that it's a non-conforming building on a non-conforming lot. It's become conforming because it's been grandfathered in. So, but that it can only be increased by 30% of existing area, and that's with the special permit. He is over whatever, I don't do math good, but double is more than 30%. So again, not meeting the requirements here. We also have, which was not addressed, was the abandonment clause. And according to this, abandonment is the visible or otherwise apparent intention of an owner to discontinue a non-conforming use of a building or premises, or the removal of the characteristic equipment or furnishings used in the performance of the non-conforming use. And it goes on a little more, but basically it's saying that house was abandoned. Okay, the taxes weren't being paid. There was no furnishings. There was no one caring for the property. There was no one living in the property. My understanding is the way he got the property was through paying off the town's taxes, and that's how he became the owner, which again is abandonment. And I couldn't find the exact clause or whatever it is, but that person last time in the meeting, so it should be there somewhere about the abandonment. It did say that if you a property which had been abandoned for 2 years would not be able to be re-established or something to that effect. So basically what he's doing can't do. And so that I haven't heard that addressed this evening. So permitted structure and the principal use, the lot size is supposed to be 80,000 square feet. 80,000. He's at 5,000. That's crazy. The footage is all off. No lot shall be considered buildable unless the building, well, septic system are located in a contiguous upland acreage equal to at least 60% of the minimum required lot area for the zoning district where it is located. Does not meet that requirement. Access to the primary structure on the lot shall be from the required legal frontage, side door, which is too close to the property line and it doesn't meet the setbacks. Maximum building coverage on the lot. The covered area as a percentage of the total lot area should only be 10%. Like I said, not really good with math, but I think, I'm not sure if that actually meets that requirement. Minimal habitable floor area per dwelling unit is 768 square feet. And right now, the current proposed, well, he wrote 616. Now I've just learned it's actually 1232. So I guess he technically does do that, even though he's more than tripling the size of the building. What else? Wait, I got more on my little notes over here. Access from the house. Oh, storm runoff calculations in the landscape plan. So when the trees are more than 5 inches and they're cut down, he has to present a plan of which trees those are, which are being cut down, and he needs to propose where the new plantings will be put at and they need to be at least 2.5 inches big. I don't know that he submitted that. Maybe he has, I just haven't seen it. And how is that gonna fit into the castle wall that he's created and the moat that will result, and the storm runoff calculations? Haven't seen that there's actually been any kind of engineering study or plan that will show us exactly what those runoff calculations will be. I understand he's got this design from an engineer, but I don't know that there's been a scientific study done, which it does say in here would be something that would be done. Purpose and intent, 31, 32. I was all prepared tonight, so sorry, you gotta listen to me. All right. So purpose and intent of the site plan review, balancing of landowners' rights to use their land, understand, with the corresponding rights of abutting and neighboring landowners to live without undue disturbance. And the protection of historic and natural environmental features on the site under review and in adjacent areas, lakes, wooded areas, wildlife habitat. So that is all in question, I believe. So these are just points that I'm raising that I think would be nice to have answers to. Maybe you would disagree, but I'm just doing that. Page 36. Waivers are granted for any of the site plan requirements only if it's determined that the literal compliance is impractical due to the nature of the proposed use. The location size of the lot make compliance impossible, which I would say that this lot does make it pretty close to impossible to be in compliance, but I don't know that it has to be as far out of compliance as it is. We're talking about a single floor shack being made into a 2.5-story building. Such a waiver would be in the public interest. I'm the public, not my interest, nor the abutters. And such a waiver would not sacrifice the protection of natural features. Again, that brings us back to the eagles, which I'm pursuing too. But I think that's something the board should be aware of. And Pollution control, minimization of soil erosion, both during and after construction. So, you know, we've all mentioned the water. He even just mentioned the water with concerns about the basement flooding. So obviously water is an issue over there. So, and along with that is the erosion. I understand the retaining walls are there, but you're still dealing with that deep incline, and I'm just not sure, you know, that we're not going to all wash away. Nuisances, protection of abutting properties and town amenities from undue disturbances, the vegetation. This is all under what your standards are for reviewing. Looking at the existing vegetation and what the plan is for the replacement of the trees. Am I up to page 38? I think that's all of it. I think that's right as far as I got, and then I ran out of time. So those are my few things. Hopefully you took some notes. You know, I understand that he owns this land. I understand he wants to flip it. But I also understand that we've been here a long time. And to kind of have us put down is less than, which is how it kind of feels, is important, so that he can kind of come in and do, and he's like, well, they did it and they did it and they did it. Well, okay, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to do it, or that you have to do it. And it also doesn't mean that maybe you need to look at some alternative things. Maybe not, because I'm more, you know, to me, land is important, and in the preservation of the lake. And there's been times where I felt like I couldn't go in the lake because I got sick, literally sick from being in the lake water. And I don't want to have something near me contributing to that. You know, the eagle thing really put me off the deep end. And maybe the whole coronavirus thing, it just was too much. So, you know, we're going to pursue that and see where that goes. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know if they're nesting. I don't know if they're just hunting. I don't know what they're doing. But they're definitely there. We see them every morning. So, you know, I just hope that, you know, maybe we need to look at, maybe you need to have the first green property on Lake Singletary and come up with some green alternatives. It'll be your selling feature and you can make millions of dollars. I don't know. But there's just got to be some way to kind of find a better middle ground than what we've got at the moment. And I really don't think we're there. I think there's a long way to go. I'm done. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else this evening who would like to make a comment? I don't see any. So I'll entertain a motion then to continue the hearing.
Am I in a position to make a few statements relative to the information that was provided here?
Yes, if you'd like to, Robert, go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, there are no eagles nesting on this property, and it's not a zoning issue. We've been in touch. We've been in touch with the people of the DEP, and there are tall pine trees. We acknowledge there are tall pine trees, and there are eagles seen around the lake, and they do roost in the tall pine trees. But there are no eagles nesting on this property, just so you're aware of that. As far as environmental issues and clean water, the plan that you have before you has been approved by the DEP, the Board of Health, and the Conservation Commission. They looked at stormwater management, replacing the trees, replacing the vegetation, erosion, sedimentation control. This site will not have any negative impacts upon the water quality. That's the whole purpose of the Title V and conservation requirements. As far as waivers that were mentioned in the letter, all of the requirements that were met in the design were approved by, again, DEP, Board of Health, and the Conservation Commission. As far as the statements that are, relative to the zoning district for an R1 district, this is an existing non-conforming lot, and that's why we have a special permit process. My phone is telling me I'm on low power here. But anyway, we've met all the requirements for the environmental issues here. And so with that, I would request, that we have an extension of the meeting.
Okay, I'm entertaining a motion to continue this hearing to the June 4th meeting.
Make a motion to continue this.
Second on that?
I'll second.
7 p.m.?
7 p.m.?
Yes,
Is that the 4th, June 4th?
the 4th, June 4th.
Okay, and I will have the information prior to the Friday ahead of that meeting.
Okay, all those in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Myself, aye. All right, we'll see you June 4th.
Okay, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the hearing for TJJ Development on the 359 Manchog Road property. I entertain a motion to reopen this hearing.
I'll make a motion to reopen this hearing.
Second on that?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Rich?
We lost him.
We lost him. Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rich, are you back?
I'm back, thanks. Aye.
All right, who's here this evening representing TJJ?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rob Knappich. It's good to be with you again. James Berkowitz of TJJ Development is also online, and thank you for hearing us this evening in this continued public hearing. I'd like to take a few minutes, because it's been a while, to recap what we presented to you very briefly at the last meeting, and also to tell you what we've provided to you in response to your questions at that meeting. You'll recall that this application is an application for 2 variances, and it's made necessary because the land of the applicant will be divided in such a way that variants are necessary. The brief background, as you may recall, is that some 3 or 4 years ago, it was recognized that on this property were some cultural or historical artifacts that, because of their nature and their location, might make for the site of a public purpose, a park. And that's in part, as I said, because of the nature of what's on the property, and also the fact that the property abuts town-owned land. So there followed some thinking and some planning, and the result of that was a vote of town meeting in 2007 that authorized the Board of Selectmen to enter into a land swap to accomplish acquisition of a large portion of the property in exchange for the town conveying to the landowner a relatively, comparatively smaller parcel. And that land swap, if you recall, is shown on the plan that we submitted called Variance Plan of Land. And very briefly, that variance plan shows 4 parcels, and it shows those four parcels in such a way that the 3 of them are presently owned by the applicant. And so the applicant's parcel is essentially divided into 3 parcels: parcel 1, parcel 2, parcel 3. The 4th parcel shown on the variance plan is owned by the town. And as a result of the town meeting vote, the applicant would convey parcel 2, which is about 2.7 acres, to the town to be combined with abutting town land for the town's purposes, namely a park. The town would convey an approximately 2,500 square foot parcel to the applicant. And the result of all that would be that, again, the town would own almost 3 acres. The applicant would acquire a parcel that would make their land more conforming. And what would be left is parcel 1, which is the subject of the variance before you this evening. Parcel 1 has, well, the applicant's land as it presently is configured has access to Manchog Road and Putnam Hill Road at 3 points. And after the land swap, if it were to occur, parcel 1 would have access to Putnam Hill Road, but that access and width would not conform to the zoning bylaw. And it's for those reasons that the applicant has petitioned the board for a variance. Now, at the last hearing, you heard the reasons why we believe that the application, the petition, satisfies the statutory criteria of there being some hardship owing to the shape, topography, or soil conditions, and that are unique to the lot and not general to the district, and that granting the variances wouldn't derogate from the bylaw. In fact, would, we believe, serve some some public purpose. And we had some helpful discussion about that. The result of which was you asked if the applicant would provide some additional documentation to answer a couple of questions, as I understood it. One was whether or not the board has the authority to grant the requested relief, namely the 2 variances. And 2, exactly how or why or what supports the argument, and what evidence is there that there is some hardship relating to the shape, topography, or soil conditions. And so we submitted a letter that attempts to answer those 2 questions, which I'd like to go through or summarize for you now. A couple of points I'd like to make are that, before I get to the strict statutory test, are that this is a unique parcel. Lot 1 is unique. It's not like any of the land in the district. And this is a unique situation in that you don't often see, I'm not sure I ever have, one where after division of a property and this land swap, that the result is parcels of land that are less non-conforming than they are now. And we demonstrate how that is in our letter on page 3, which I think is the very next page. Thank you. So what we show is on this page, what we call the post office lot, or what will result from the combination of the lot parcel 4, which is the 2,500 square feet from the town, once it's combined with what will be parcel 3. And we show that the result is that that parcel satisfies the area and frontage requirements of the bylaw. It also makes the parcel more conforming in that presently the parking for the use that's on parcel 3, which is a post office, is not located on the same lot, but as a result of this, it will be. The side yard setback does not conform, but that is a pre-existing non-conforming use. Similarly, if you go to the top of page 4, you'll see that, thank you, parcel 1 meets all of the criteria of the bylaw except for the 2 that we're asking for relief from. It has well in excess of the 80,000 square feet required. 80,000 square feet is just under 2 acres, as you probably know. It has more than sufficient front yard setback and side yard setback. But what it doesn't have is the required frontage or the required width. I'd also like to point out that there was some discussion at the last meeting as to what the applicant could do on this property now. And upon review of the bylaw, as we mentioned in our letter, there is a unique aspect of your bylaw that permits multiple uses on the same lot in separate structures or separate areas, as long as all requirements of the bylaw, including lot area per structure and the code, are satisfied. So there is a requirement that says only one dwelling unit shall be allowed on one lot or in one structure. So we do think that the applicant could construct a single family home exactly in the area that they would like to if the relief was granted as is. But we don't think that's the best use of the property, and we think a better plan is to adhere to the town meeting desires. But nonetheless, the point was raised at the last meeting. The building inspector had some input on that, and I do think that a review of the bylaw confirms that a single family home could be constructed on the property. To the point of how and why the board can grant the relief and why there's evidence to support it, we do point to a couple of cases that are quite similar, or on all fours, as we say, with the circumstances before you. We do discuss a case from 1984, Paulding versus Bruins, in which the appeals court upheld that what they call a pork chop lot that was created in the 20s, that was larger than surrounding developed lots, but had street access via only a 15-foot wide strip, they did uphold the grant of a variance. And that is about as similar to the facts and circumstances of this case as can be, because what will result is that lot 1 will be a pork chop lot. The parcel that is being divided has been in existence since it's shown on plans going back to the 30s and even before. Lot 1, as we just saw from the chart, is substantially larger than surrounding development lots, certainly larger than what's required by zoning. Lot 1 has access, will have access to Putnam Hill Road via a strip. That strip happens to be shorter and wider than the strip that was the subject of the case that I just mentioned. That's a good thing. But nonetheless, if you had asked for some legal support for a variance similar to this, I think you have it there. Even more so, as we discuss a little further on in 1988, in a similar case, the court upheld the grant of a variance for frontage where the hardship was caused by what the court called an extrinsic act of a public authority not within its control. So there was a taking by the MDC, and the result was that the lot was made non-conforming. The court upheld a variance. That's not exactly the situation here, because the town is not, the town is a municipal authority, a public authority, but the town is not taking the property through eminent domain. It may formally be eminent domain, but it would be what we call a friendly taking, because the applicant would voluntarily convey the property. Nonetheless, the similarities I think are relevant, because there's a public authority involved. The result is that there's a transfer to that public authority, and as a result of that transfer, there was what the court called an oddly shaped lot with, in that case, no frontage, and that created a substantial hardship when the lack of frontage and shape resulted through no fault of the applicant. There's other law that we cite to, as you requested, that deals with the question of hardship, where it exists, how it exists, and why we think that it exists in this case. Finally, I'd like to reiterate a few points, which is that in addition to the circumstances meeting the strict statutory test of there being some hardship relating to, in this case, the shape, there are, as we said last time, other arguments for hardship relating to soil conditions and topography, meaning that access to the buildable portion of lot 1, or at least the portion where the applicant would construct a house, is made difficult by the topography of the property between parcel 1 and Manchog Road. I'd also like to make the point that there is an inquiry that you ought to make when you're considering whether or not to grant the variance, which is, does it derogate from the intent of the bylaw? Does it go against the bylaw? I think that another way of saying that is, does it serve some public purpose? Because certainly if it serves some public purpose, it does not derogate from or go against the bylaw. Here, I think it's clear that this does serve some public purpose, to the extent you believe and agree that acquisition of property by the town, which property has what would be considered relevant historical artifacts that are important to this part of the town, to create a public benefit that serves a public purpose. And finally, a point we make in our letter is that after the land swap occurs, were it not for the variance, the applicant could make virtually no economic use of parcel 1. And the board is authorized by law to inquire or to consider finances as an aspect of hardship. And courts have held, and we cite to a case in the letter, where it is a financial hardship when an applicant can make no economic use of the property. So thank you for the opportunity to look into these matters for you. I'm happy to answer questions you might have, but in summary, we do believe that A, you have the authority, and B, that the petition meets the criteria for the grant of a variance, and we respectfully renew our request that the board issue the relief requested. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Rich?
No, sir, I don't have any questions. I think Mr. Attorney Knappich did an outstanding job, all of the research and presentation. Thank you for making it so clear.
You're welcome.
Dan?
I don't really have any questions. I think, as you know from last time, I find these arguments pretty compelling. I do think variances exist to address issues like this. I think like big picture, redrawing some of the lines in this area is overall good, reduces nonconformity in general. I think like especially the case that was cited about eminent domain, like snatching some land and then creating a hardship. This is a case where the town's not even doing that. It's trying to like ask in advance. I think the applicant's willing to sacrifice basically half of their land to fit one house on the other. It's not actually that big of a house. Not like he's trying to put a subdivision there. So I think this is pretty compelling. I definitely think we have the authority to make this. It's up to the board to decide if that's what we're going to do or not. That's all.
Thanks, Dan. Kyle?
No comment at time.
Jim, how about you?
No questions.
All right, Chris?
No questions. I appreciate all the work put into this. I think the land will be put to good use. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
I agree with the other comments. Excellent presentation. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here this evening who would like to comment on this petition? I see none. Chris, nothing coming in?
Nothing coming in on the chat.
Excellent. All right, entertain a motion to close the hearing then?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim? Chris?
Aye.
Myself as an aye. All right. We'll do a work session on that and let you know what happens.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thanks. All right. Everyone ready to do some work sessions?
Ready.
Got them all written up, Dan?
I have them started here. I do have some questions for Lynn about, how we're all going to sign these in the end.
Yeah, do we have like an e-signature thing? Like Adobe sign or something?
Anything set up. I have no problems hand delivering them. I'll make sure I get the signatures. It would be sometime next week though. That way you can view the documents at the same time maybe. We'll set something up. Worst case, take it to the police station. You can stop by and sign it, when you're able.
Okay. Thanks, Lynn. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to open a work session on the Lynn Olson petition.
Make a motion. I'll second then.
Those in favor, Rich? Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Aye, myself. All right. The petitioner is requesting a special permit, section 7A2, as it pertains to 1C2D, town zoning bylaws for the creation and increase of a non-conforming structure to permit the construction of a rear deck. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
And the real point of contention was the inconsistent paperwork before. Now we have consistent paperwork, so I think we're good.
I agree.
For my, just for my paperwork, do we have a name for the new site plan? I know it was on the screen at one point, but I didn't get to catch it then.
Yeah, I can throw it back up if you want.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Please hold.
All right, so we had a motion and a second. All those in favor of granting this special permit?
Aye. Oh, sorry. In order. Aye.
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rick is an aye as well. The ayes have it.
Drawn up by HSNT Group.
There's a different date on that one, Dan.
Yeah. Okay. And then
You need me to scroll? You let me know.
I think I'm good. Do we know when it was stamped? No, it just says who stamped it. We received it May 9th. Maybe it's all March 9th then. Any conditions we're setting on this, by the way? Just as drawn?
Normal conditions, as built, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sketch included that shows that there's no, there's no patio under it or extra ladders or something around it, and there's nothing above it, no roof or anything. So I think the drawings are fine.
All right, well, at some point you'll get to sign this too. I won't cough on it.
You have to bring your Lysol.
Yeah.
All right, do you need a few more minutes, Dan?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, I'll move along to the Robert Cook application. Entertain a motion to open a work session on that.
Make a motion to open a work session on 173 Putnam Hill Road.
I'll second the work session.
All those in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rick is an aye as well. All right, so the applicant is requesting a special permit, section 7A2, as it pertains to section 1C3, 3C of the town zoning bylaws for the construction of a 16 by 16 breezeway and a 24 by 30 garage. Anybody like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit.
Second on that?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. Is it necessary? Right? He's got plenty of room. He could infinitely design anything that fits within the setback. He's not asking for a lot. But is it necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question too. It seems like it's a pretty good addition structurally to the compound already, and I don't see a reason why he can't be within the setback.
No.
My only question. I think he's going to do a great job. He's very excited about it. I think it's going to be, it's everything about it seems to work, except I just don't see the need to request the relief.
I feel like what he represented in the meeting as his rationale was not as good as what was submitted in writing as his rationale. He talks about health complications, and I'm sort of left to assume that that's why the breezeway needs to be needs to be that size, but he didn't really make that clear for us in the meeting.
Well, when we asked at the meeting, he said it was because the lumber is going to be cheap.
Yeah, it was something about the lumber.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my head was spinning when he said that. I honestly, I was so confused that he had to waste lumber or something. Just I don't know, just buy the right amount. I don't see there's there's not a reason you can't take 2 feet off the breezeway or the garage or a combination and keep it within the setback.
I agree. It's 2 feet. It's so close. It seems.
Yeah.
He could have just bypassed this process altogether, right? If he just had 2 feet off.
Yep.
I don't get it. I mean, you got to pay to even apply,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's not a huge ask, but it's a necessary ask.
Yeah.
I guess that sums it up best. He's not asking for a lot, but he didn't really have to ask for anything, but you know, it's a special permit, not the variance, you know.
I mean, it's not like he's got a weird shaped lot or, you know, or anything like that. He can pretty much do what he wants to do. He's got to make it a little smaller.
Right. I think there's plenty of room on that side, and I didn't hear the argument that was made about health reasons. I don't know how I missed that, but
I can read it if you want. It's just in the application originally. Do you want me to read it real quick?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
This is, I'm making this request for relief of the 20-foot setback due mostly to health reasons. My wife has rheumatoid arthritis, and due to the grade of the property for us to enter the house, we have 12 stairs to climb, whether we come in from the cellar or enter from the back porch. By adding a porch and two-car garage from the right side of the house, there will be only maybe 2 or 3 stairs from the garage. In addition, this allows to bring the laundry room on the same level rather than the cellar, again eliminating the 12 stairs.
I do remember that now.
Yeah. But there's nothing in there
again,
specific about the 2 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I stepped on you, Dan.
No.
Yeah, same thing. I don't know that 2 feet is going to make it impossible for them to do what they want to do to accommodate the wife's challenges with the stairs.
Can I just interject? And I just want to remind you that there's the 5 criteria for a special permit.
Right.
Take those into consideration as long as they meet those. It's different from a variance. I know you're concerned with setback and.
Yeah, I have those here too. If you guys want to hear them real quick.
Why don't you read them, Dan? We can
Sure.
kind of measure it against that, I guess.
All right. The appropriateness of the specific site as the location for the use is number 1. Number 2, the adequacy of public sewerage and water systems, say NA on that. Number 3, the effect of the developed use upon the neighborhood. Number 4, whether there be undue nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. And number 5, whether adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use, structure, or condition.
I mean, he meets all those.
Yeah.
But the site was appropriate prior to him asking for a special permit, right? I mean,
One thing that is
weird.
important is, and I'm sorry to talk over you, but if you read before the 5 criteria,
Yeah.
certain uses, structure, condition are designated as special permit in section 3, table of use regulations and elsewhere in the bylaw. Upon application duly made to the board may, in appropriate cases and subject to appropriate conditions and safeguards, grant a special permit for such uses, structures, or conditions and no others. The crucial word there is may.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if they meet the 5 criteria, in my interpretation is that it doesn't compel us to have to issue the special permit. Right? In order to be issued, it needs to meet the 5 criteria.
Yeah.
But we may consider issuing a special permit. It doesn't say we're obligated. In my interpretation, it doesn't say we're obligated to, in the event that it does meet the 5 criteria. And not that, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not.
So can we condition it on it being within the setbacks? Can we approve it, but make it fit the lot? Oh, I know, but
I mean,
my goal isn't to overly complicate the situation with the discussion, but it's kind of like, why are we a board if, you know, why? I mean, it just seems that there just doesn't seem to be a hardship of any kind here at all.
I'm in agreement with Jamie.
Yeah, he doesn't need a special permit.
all right.
That's fair.
We have a.
And I'm not trying to influence anyone. That's just my own, you know.
It influenced me.
No. I think you stated the issue very clearly. Yeah.
I just think we should condition it to be within the lot size.
Like then he doesn't need a special permit.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. This is very strange to me.
Okay. It's not a variance. He doesn't need hardship.
And he doesn't,
And I'm only telling you that because I just want to differentiate between the two,
The two cases, yeah.
you know.
I mean, I want this to happen, but I agree. He doesn't, there's no hardship.
yeah, he doesn't need a hardship like Lynn said. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a big ask either, but, certainly he could build it 2 feet smaller and it wouldn't make a difference, but
And please, not to sway anybody, but I keep hearing hardship and whatever. I just want you guys to realize they're two separate things, different requests.
So Lynn, it almost sounds like your position or your statement is that if it meets the 5 criteria for the special permit, then we give it to them no matter what.
Well, it's a non-conforming lot. Special permits are only allowed for a non-conforming lot. And as you know, they can go up to 30% or within the setback without having to go to you for any type of relief.
Right.
Once they step beyond that, then they have to approach you.
Is it a non-conforming lot?
It is. It is.
It's enormous.
It could be just it doesn't have enough frontage or,
Well, that's an important point. We should.
It doesn't meet today's standards.
Check.
So, and I think you really have to look at those 5 criteria. Is it detrimental? You may find that it is. Does it affect the neighborhood? As I said, the hardship, that really when you look at this type of thing, you're not really looking at setback. They're important, don't get me wrong, they're important, but you're not requesting any type of variance to that setback.
So if he had submitted an application for a 3-car garage and he was encroaching 18 feet and he was 2 feet off the 2 feet off the property line and 18 feet into the setback,
you would have to find whether or not it's detrimental under a special permit guideline.
the lot is short on frontage.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
178 feet, almost 179.
Well, I mean, if I were to just look through the 5, guidelines, I can't say it's inappropriate to say no to it. I mean, the site's appropriate for the use. There's enough water. It's a house amongst many houses. Number 3, is there going to be undue nuisance? Probably not. Will the facilities be provided to ensure proper operation? Sure. I mean, it does seem to meet those criteria.
It just seems funny because he's asking for so little and it could.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, it just seems funny to ask for so little and we could make it a little bit smaller, but is that, a reason not to grant it?
Yeah, I guess like we as the board can see how it would have been optimal for him to just bypass us entirely, but he's got his own reasons which we can't speak to. So I think we just address what's before us.
I mean, I would argue it does meet the 5 criteria, but again, it's a very strange that he chose to go before us when he didn't have to.
Any other discussion?
when asked in the meeting if he could build the addition 2 feet smaller, he said, I could, but I don't want to.
It's true.
So
is what he said.
Look at that as that's why he moved forward with the special permit, request. I can't speak for him as to, I mean,
Anything else? We have a motion to grant the special permit in a second. If there's any more discussion, we can vote on it. All right. No more discussion? All right, we had a motion to grant. All those in favor? Rich?
No.
Dan?
Aye.
What was that?
That's an aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
No.
Chris?
Aye.
Myself is an aye.
He needs 4. So,
I think you have 4.
I don't count.
Kyle doesn't count?
were you at the
How
last
does
hearing?
it count?
I'm only an associate, so my vote doesn't get counted as an official vote. Absent.
I don't have him on my record of votes as an option.
He's right. He's in this, yeah.
Okay.
So we got 1, 2, 3. Yep.
Cool.
So we had 3-2.
3-2.
All right.
Got the paperwork here.
Kyle, did you turn your light off because you're an associate?
No, the computer I had the plans pulled up on shut out off, so all that right, turned off. There it is.
Much better.
All right. So now we're on to work session for TJJ Development. Entertain a motion to open work session.
I'll
Make
make
a
that
motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Myself, aye. All right, the petitioner is requesting a variance as it pertains to section 3B3 of the town zoning bylaws for lot frontage to allow for the construction of a single-family home. I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion in favor of the application for variance.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion to grant the variance as requested. In a second. None?
Oh,
I
second.
didn't hear you ask anything.
Sure.
No, I second
I
it.
thought it was discussion time.
Yep, it was. We had a motion in a second. Is there some discussion on the motion?
I will say
I just-
that I think Attorney Knappich did an outstanding job with his research. He certainly earned his money on this project. I think it's a great project, and my concern was the authority that the board has to grant the variance, and I thought that he did a superior job researching that and citing case history, and thought that town council did a 180 on whether or not we have the authority to approve it, and so I'm pleased with it. I think it's a good project for everybody involved, as long as there's only one house, and I don't think there's room enough for them to build more than one.
I agree. I wasn't really feeling it earlier, but I think the attorney, like you said, really presented a great case, and town council seemed to back it up. So
I feel like
agree.
yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I would I agree. I think, I've questioned whether we have the power to create things, citing that the Fox Run area we took before, but I think Attorney Knappich really did a good job proving your point, and I appreciate the input from town council to help us along the way. So.
Yeah, I feel like you guys already know what I think about this one because I've been outspoken, but I think like this is pretty unique, pretty unusual, pretty unlike the other ones that we haven't made a change for. Yeah, I guess I think like if I were in a butter and the solution for this huge property behind my house is kind of weird, people can't figure out is that you put one house back there, I'd be like totally fine with that. I did visit it. It's going to be a narrow driveway. But part of the reason it's going to be a narrow driveway is because someone built their garage over the line into this property, and it's not really the fault of the applicant. So I don't know what they're going to do with that in the future.
All right. Jim, any comment?
No, it's nice when the town can acquire something that can add to the quality of life and at zero cost, right? I think it's a win-win, and I would echo Rich's sentiments that their attorney did a great job of giving us the ammunition that we need to provide the support that's necessary.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? So we have a motion and a second in front of us. All those in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And myself is an aye as well. The ayes have it.
Now, Lynn, this one, I have the variance decision worksheet. Looks like I have an old one, though. I've still got Mike's name on here.
That's okay. Just cross his name out.
Just cross him out. And then it's, granted with condition, denied. When we're voting, I agree conditioning it on them following what they've proposed here. I mean, then we don't really have like a specific location for the building or anything. We're just approving that.
No, you're just
we're developing
the frontage and the lot width.
Yes, yeah. So
Oh.
it says approve variances for lot frontage and lot width to allow for the construction of a single family home.
Perfect.
Right. Okay.
I think because of the topography, they can only really put it in one spot.
Yeah. Did you guys get to walk it before? Did you go over there?
No, I'm not allowed out of my house.
I did it before that last site visit. It looks like it's being used for dirt biking right now.
Lynn, should we attach the attorney's letter as backup to the reason for granting it?
If you'd like.
Or do you want to pick stuff out of it? We need to back it up somehow.
Well, you should be doing that right now as to,
Right.
what their hardships are so that I can put it in the decision.
So like on my worksheet here, I have findings, and then it says yes or no for each of these. So applicants produce evidence in good faith in contacting abutters to advise them of the desired application. I think that's part of our process, right? So it's like always going to be yes. Next one, owing to the circumstances relating to the shape of the land or structures and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it's located, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the zoning board would involve substantial hardship to the petitioner. Again, I think there's a lot of language in the letter that we could pull out here. I don't know if someone wants to try and grab me a quote, I can copy it in here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think maybe a little further down, right? Like the last paragraph had about this. What was it again? Yeah, that was like about when the eminent domain sees something.
Oh, I'm in the wrong letter.
I think this is good, right? Yeah. A literal enforcement of it.
Yeah.
That one I think is for, let me see.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good too.
Basically this onto the next.
All right, sorry, I'll copy this quickly.
It also mentioned the public purpose.
Yeah. Sorry, I know this is boring. There's no way I can just copy this. Not by hand, huh? Okay, that's good.
You need anything else?
No, I think, well, let's see. So the next one is owing to the circumstances related to soil condition, topography of the land or structures, and especially affecting the land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which is located, a literal enforcement. Man, that sounds like exactly the same, huh? First one's shape of the land and structures. The other one's soil conditions and topography. And I think this was more about like elevation and water in the back, right?
The topography is an issue also because of the, there's a lot of grade change on it in the wetlands.
Yeah. I could just word this myself too, I think.
We don't have to sign it tonight, Dan.
Yeah, I could just copy this over later too, if that's okay, guys.
I don't want to give you more homework.
No. Don't worry, don't worry. No, I'll find some quotes from there for this. I think we're good.
Okay.
With all those books behind you, you should be able to find some.
Yeah, I know, right? I think that's good, guys. So, Lynn, should I mail these to you?
Can you, yeah, email them to me.
Oh, scan them and email them? Okay, you got it.
Drop them off in my mailbox. I can drop them off, or, you know, I mean, we can figure out a way to.
I'm all set, guys.
Do we need a wet signature, or can we just like sign it like digitally with like a, you know, computer pen or whatever?
Yeah, let me look into it. I don't have an answer for that.
That'd be interesting.
Like I said, I don't mind. What we used to do is we used to drop all these decisions down at the police station when it was next door. Then you could pop in there and just sign the decision. Still can do that, even though, you know, they're down the street.
So in the back in the day in the Army, we used to have these shotgun envelopes, and you'd have to, you sign it and you pass it on to the next person, and he signs it and they pass it on to the next person, and so forth until it gets back to the source.
Exactly.
There you go.
Has to be done within 14 days.
Do we have a carrier pigeon?
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, if you have the documents and you're coming over to Jenny's house, I can come meet you at the mailbox or something.
Looks like I'm the Pony Express. I would just like to comment on, I thought the meeting were fine. I thought that Chris, you did a great job of supporting, and Lynn did a great job. I thought that you know, I thought it was successful, and I think that business actually got taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was good.
I think this is going to be the norm for a while.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I think even if when we're back too, I mean, if Zoom's like another offering that you can make accessible to people to get on there, you know, I think it can only help get people interested in stuff. I know it's on TV or whatever, but you know,
but TV is a one-way media.
Yeah.
Medium.
Yeah, so this was good.
Yeah.
It was very successful, I thought. And Rick, you did a great job of keeping it going, and
Well, everybody did a good job, I think. We got it done.
The business minutes, I will have those ready for you for the June 4th meeting. So,
Okay.
We'll wait till then.
All right, anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Rich?
Aye.
Ian?
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Good night, Len.
Kyle? Chris?
Aye.
All right.
What do you say? Aye. Great job, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you in a month.
All right.
Yeah.